class, we're on the last part for today, Unit 8 on work, May 6, 2020, and this is our last video, part 3. On this video, we're going to still practice using our conjunctions. We're going to use and, or, and but, and then we're going to cover workbook pages 94 and 95. So if you haven't already, go ahead and stop the video and do these workbook pages and then come back and we will cover those first. Okay, so we're on page 94 and we're going to complete the sentences. Number 1 is done for you. Mateo has 2 jobs. He works in a restaurant and in an office because there's 2 jobs. He does both, right? Number 2, we can have lunch at Subs or at Carl's. Well, you're not going to have lunch at 2 places, so you're going to have to pick. So that's going to be or. When you have to make a choice, we're going to use the word or. Juwan talked to his mother about his plans, but he didn't talk to his father. So there's 2 opposing ideas. Did talk, didn't talk. So that's why we're using but in that sentence. Number 4, after work, Lourdes had cake and ice cream, had both. Okay? Mandy and Paco went to New York, but they didn't see the Statue of Liberty. Okay, so we're using but because they did go to New York and didn't see the Statue of Liberty. So did and didn't, 2 opposing ideas. So we're going to use but. Number 6, Ivan works the day shift or the night shift. He never works both. So when it says he doesn't work both, we know it's going to be or. He's going to work the day or the night. He's not going to work them both at the same time. Okay? And number 7, Sally works at the hospital during the week and at Pizza Town on the weekend. She works both places. One, she works Monday through Friday, and one she'll work on Saturday and Sunday. Last one, number 8. At work, Ange answers the phones and takes message. So Ange does both things. Answer the phone, take messages. Does both of the tasks. Okay? So go ahead and make any corrections that you need. And let's move on to part 2. Now we're combining sentences again, but this time we're writing the sentences, not just adding in the conjunction. So sometimes June eats lunch at noon and sometimes eats at 1 o'clock. So they can combine that. June eats lunch at noon or at 1 o'clock because he can't eat lunch at both on one day. It's going to be 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, or 1 o'clock. He can't eat lunch at both. So number 2, Javier helps the nurses. He also helps the doctors. So we see the word also. So that means, once again, we're going to use the word and, right? Helps the nurses and the doctors. When we see also, that gives us a clue to use the word and. Tien picks up the supplies at the warehouse. She doesn't deliver the supplies. So she does pick them up. She doesn't deliver. So does and doesn't. 2, they're opposing. So we know we're going to use the but. Right? Tien picks up. Write it like that. Tien picks up the supplies at the warehouse, but doesn't deliver them. Okay? Number 4, Rico met her new co-workers this morning. She didn't meet any patients. So we have yes, she met, no, she didn't. So that's opposing. So we're going to use but again. Okay. Let's go back up here and get rid of one of those O's. How about that? And then we're going to go to number 5. Okay. At the restaurant, Mustafa made the soup. He also made the salad. Also means what? And. That's right. So we're going to say made the soup and the salad. Okay? Also means and. Sometimes a toy drinks coffee and sometimes he drinks tea. So when we see sometimes and we have two things, coffee and tea, we know we're going to use or. So okay, you can write it that way. Or you can say sometimes Anatoly drinks coffee or tea. All right, so there's your answers for part 2. Once again, you're welcome to stop the video and make any corrections that you need. And we are moving on to page 95 and part 3. All right, let's see. It says read the chart and write the sentences. We're going to still be using our conjunctions and or and an or in the simple past. So the first one's done for you. It says Dora goes to the meeting, but she does and takes notes. So we can look at the assistant duties, and under Dora we see that she goes to the meetings, but we don't see taking notes. So one she does and one she doesn't. So that's why they're using but. So at number 2, Adam checked the office email and goes to the meeting. So if you look under Adam, you see check the office email and you see go to the meetings. So he does both. So we're going to use and. So Adam checked the office email and he went to the meeting. Okay, we're using and because he did both things, because both things are under his name on the chart. Okay, number 3. Rachel prepared the meeting room and made the coffee. So if we look under Rachel, we do see prepared the meeting room. We do not see made the coffee. So one she did, one she didn't. They're opposing. So we're going to use the word but. So we're going to say Rachel prepared the meeting room, but she didn't make the coffee. Right? We're using but because one she did and one she didn't. They're opposed. So let's look at number 4. Dora and Adam go to the meeting and prepare the meeting room. So if we look under Dora and Adam, we see both of them go to the meetings, and we do not see under either prepare the meeting room. So one they did, one they didn't. They're opposed, so we're going to use but. So we're going to go Dora and Adam went to the meeting, comma, but they didn't prepare the meeting room. Okay? So they did go to the meeting, but they didn't prepare the meeting room because that is under Rachel. Rachel does that. Adam, take notes and make copies. So under Adam, we do see take notes and we see make copies. So he does both. So we're going to use and. So Adam took notes and made copies. Once again, I'm reminding you, we're using the simple past. So everything happened in the past. So we're having to look for the past tense of the verb. And that's why we're using like took and made. Okay? This has already happened. Rachel, number 6, Rachel, pick up supplies and deliver the mail. If we look under Rachel, we see that she has both of those jobs. So we're going to use the word and. Picked, past tense. And delivered, past tense, right? So Rachel picked up supplies and delivered the mail. So go ahead and make any corrections you need. You can stop the video, and we're going to move on to part 4. Okay, so we're going to complete the sentences. We're going to use and or on but or but. We didn't use or on the last one. We just used and but we're back to using all 3. Number 1, Dora eats lunch at her desk on Tuesday and Thursday. Because the schedule says eat lunch at your desk, and we see Dora's name on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Monday, Rachel, if you look, and Adam answer calls. So we see Rachel and Adam's name. So both of them don't do it on the same day. It's a choice. So we're going to use the word or. So Rachel, on Monday, Rachel or Adam answer calls, not both, just one of them, right? Number 3, this week Adam eats lunch at his desk on Wednesday and Friday. Okay? He does eat at his desk both days, so it's and, because we see his name on Wednesday and on Friday. Dora and Adam eat lunch at their desk twice a week. Rachel doesn't. She eats at her desk only once a week. So they do eat twice a week, only once a week. They're opposing ideas, so we're going to use the word but. Dora and Adam eat lunch at their desk twice a week, but Rachel doesn't. She eats lunch at her desk only once a week. So there's your answers for part 4 on page, I think it was 94 of the workbook. You can go ahead and make any corrections you need to make and get out your student book, and we're going to be working in there next. Okay? Okay, guys, we're going to pick up with page 100 on the student book, and we see there are going to be conversations. Hold on, let me see. And we're going to look at these pictures. So let's look at these first 3 pictures at the top. So that's Ahmed, and does Ahmed write reports? Does Ahmed write reports? We see in number 1, it says he writes reports and checks email. So yes, Ahmed writes reports. When we're talking about that, what verb form are we going to use? We're still using the simple past, so something that he's already done. It's in the past. So out of those 3 pictures, we're going to make some sentences, and we're going to use and, or, and but. So number one, we see, what did Ahmed do this morning? He wrote reports and checked email, because we see that in the first picture, right? Let's look at the second picture. What did Ahmed do this morning? He made copies and delivered mail, right? What did Ahmed do this morning? He answered calls and took messages. He answered calls and took messages. So we're using and for all three of those, but we're also using the simple past. So you need to change the verbs to a past tense. So let's look down at number 4. And the example says, what did Jill do yesterday? She went to work, but she didn't feel well. So we're using but because one is a positive and one is negative. So they're opposing ideas. So we're going to use but for these, okay? What did Jill do yesterday? She went to a meeting, but she didn't take notes. Okay? What did Jill do yesterday? She wrote a letter, but she didn't finish it. Now remember, we're using but for all of those. So she did one thing, but not the other. But we're also changing those verbs to the simple past. So be sure that you're, if you're having practicing these conversations after we're done, that you're changing those verbs to simple past, because it does say yesterday. So that's something that happened in the past. Okay, let's look. We're going to go down to the last 3 conversations, and this is where you have to make a choice. So apple or orange juice. So we're going to use or for these, because you can't have both. It's going to have to be one or the other, right? So we're going to use or. Where do you eat lunch? I eat lunch in a restaurant or at my desk. See, you can't eat lunch at a restaurant and at your desk unless you eat 2 lunches. But so you're going to have to pick one. So it's the same thing for number 8. Where do you eat lunch? I eat lunch in the cafeteria or outside. One or the other, in the cafeteria or outside. Last one, number 9. Where do you eat lunch? I eat lunch at home or in my car. So it's a choice, at home or in the car. You don't eat it in both places. So on the part 3, it says communicate, talk with a partner, and make statements with and, or, and but. So you can do that, but you can also go back and practice those conversations in part B, making those sentences. Yeah, it's a good practice for using and, or, and but. It demonstrates it really good in those exercises. And this is all. This is our last part for part 3. Next week we'll continue with Unit 8, and we'll finish it up next week. And I hope everybody, since they're starting to open up some businesses, is staying safe and wearing masks if you can. And also, I hope you still have time to watch our videos and keep up with your English. I want to remind you again that you need to be putting your name in the comments after you view the video so that you can get credit for, it's basically your class attendance, but write your name, okay? And that's all I have for today, and I will see you next Monday.